George Ebenezer spent his entire childhood enduring unspeakable abuse. He not only survived, he went on to found an organization that helps thousands of children heal from abuse and trauma.
Growing up, George Ebenezer was physically abused by his alcoholic father and sexually molested by men he trusted in his community. The pain continued for years. He longed for someone to listen and to care.
I did not know, I did not see, but someone loved me and was watching over me.
Today, he is making a difference in the lives of hundreds of thousands of children in India just like him. His organization, Santhosa Samsara, mentors kids and teenagers, but specializes in helping those from abused and difficult backgrounds.
Please welcome to the 700 Club, George Ebenezer. George, it's wonderful to have you here. Your story is quite remarkable. Talk for just a little bit about your childhood. I mean, you know, from the very beginning, things were more than just rough in your family. I mean, it was daily.
Yeah, one of the things that I had to put up with is physical abuse. And then I was trying to run away from home and trying to connect with other men, and then sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And insecurities and no food. And then I had to go around and hunt, and hunt means go and scavenge. And
so, George, I just said that you survived all of that, and you did, but how?
I think it was in me to come to the place of attention seeking. So I was trying to hold on to any adult that was there, attention seeking. And my stepmom. Stepmoms are not very great, but this lady was, she sacrificed her life.
Wow.
And she took all the pain.
Yeah.
And she would get beaten up, and I would run away from home, but she would still be there.
Wow, when you came back, she was there for you.
She was still there.
So here's your dad, unrelatable, I mean, abusive. So, of course, you want, I think this happens in many young men's lives, especially looking for that father figure, young women as well. So, you know, you found men who should have been trustworthy, should have been friends, and they took advantage of you. Where did you go with the trust factor then?
I couldn't trust anyone.
Yeah.
I just couldn't trust anyone.
Yeah.
The first man I trusted, I think I was 24, 25 when I trusted the first man. Though I acted as if I trusted, though I pretended, because I need to have them on my side. So I did that, but it was very difficult for me to trust. And I couldn't see God as a father.
That would be scary.
Yeah. You know, because if my father was so abusive, I was afraid to see my Heavenly Father. You know, so it was a difficult journey,
Speaking of journey, you, at 15, something happened in your life that really was a turning point. Tell us about that.
It was a time where I had to go through, the school kind of suspended me because my father had beaten up one of the teachers, and then I had to sit and write the exams without attending some of the classes. And some people helped me in that, and some of my teachers helped. But when the results came, I was on the top list.
Wow.
And I didn't expect to pass. I went to that graveyard where I would always sit and cry. And for the first time in my life, I knew about God, but I did not know God. But that evening, I went to that graveyard, I knelt down, and C.S. Lewis, I gave in and acknowledged that He is God.
Wow.
I just said, Lord, you're trying to do something in my life. I'm not resist you anymore. You know, I'll give my life. With no pastor, no one there, I just knelt down and asked Jesus to come into my life.
Wow. You say that we are who we are because of our journey. I mean, surely that's true of all of us. What was it that caused you and your wife, Manju, to start an orphanage? How did that come about?
We saw the children hurting, and when we saw the children hurting, she comes from a traumatic background, my wife. I come from a traumatic background, and it was in the middle of one of our fights in the first 2 years of our marriage.
I bet there were some.
And there were so many traumatic triggers, but we looked at each other and said, hey, The enemy has been trying to rob our lives. We both have been struggling. Hey, we can't allow this to happen.
Yeah.
I think we need to allow the Lord to use us. And so today our hearts break for all of these children, you know, and we started it like an orphanage, and then we adopted the kids, and we said institutions are not so much helping the kids, it's a family where the healing happens. And then today we reach out to so many children. In India alone, every 15 minutes a child has been raped.
Wow.
And that's what is happening. And we get a lot of calls, and so we are in the place, and I what you said, you know, your story doesn't break you, your story makes you. Who you are is because of your story. I believe I have a tender heart for the children who are abused and who cry, because I know the pain. I know how it hurts.
You can move on from it, but you can't ever really forget it.
Yeah.
So your family's quite large now. You and Manju have how many children in your
10 adopted and 2 kids of our own. We recently had our little one, Joshua. He's 1.5.
Yeah, that's so exciting. When I see you and Manju, because we communicate online all the time, you're smiling. There's joy in your home. That's a quantum leap from how you were both raised. How do you find that joy?
I'm sorry. I never was joyful when I was growing. I just never laughed. I never smiled.
Yeah.
So when I told my kids, one of the first things that I told my kids, I didn't have a proper father, but nobody can stop me from being a father. And I come from a whole legacy of people who've been abusers and abusers and abusers. And I told my kids, it's stopping with my generation.
Yeah.
And it is not moving beyond me.
Boy, it's a decision, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I've always told the kids, and I said, in this home, there's going to be joy.
Yeah.
And we are going to celebrate everything that happens. We will celebrate.
You have an opportunity, not just in your home, but all over India and really around the world, to speak to young people. You and I have talked about this a great deal. There's such hopelessness in the lives of young people. What do you tell them, George?
I think always when they are hurting, in that place that they are hurting, I would always, you know, in some situations I can say it directly, in some situations I cannot, but Jesus is the answer.
Yeah.
Jesus is the answer. There are places where I use my story to share about my journey. There are some places where I encourage them, you know, be in the place. But one of the first things that I do with all of my mentoring, all my discipleship, especially with these kids who reach out to me on social media, is first to start listening to them and seeing it from their hurting point of view, because they're all hurting, and hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
And because they are hurting, they are beginning to hurt others.
Yeah.
And I begin to help them see from that perspective and reach out to them, you know. So
turning pain into purpose, really.
yes.
And they receive it.
Yes.
I mean, you have a remarkable response from young people. It's almost like they're just waiting for someone to come along and tell them this can be.
Just waiting. They're waiting for some hope.
Yeah.
Because when they try to tell their story, people are snubbing them and just saying, oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, I don't think that man abused you. Oh, I don't think, you know, so they snub them off. And here there are some of these teenagers saying, hey, can somebody believe my story?
Yeah.
Can somebody listen to my story?
Yeah.
You know, and the abuse is becoming quite spread out and wide, and it's a disease that's so imminent that we have to deal with right now. And India being a shame-based culture where there's so many things that is happening, nobody wants to talk about. Yeah. And that's where I think on social media they're able to connect with me and able to share. And when they share, they know that that stays with me. And
yeah, it's so remarkable. I think your story is such a picture of how God takes our pain and gives purpose to it and life to others through it when we're willing to let him use it. Thank you so much for your testimony and for all that you're doing. If you'd like more information about George's outreach to children and teens, it's quite remarkable. Go to cbn.com. Good to have you here, George.
Thank you, Terry.